My name is Lauren Porter, and the painting I will be talking about today is called Time by Max Ferguson. This oil painting is part of the permanent collection of Crystal Bridge's Museum of American Art in Bentonville, Arkansas. I chose this painting for its vivid and flawless look and close attention to detail. The artist, Max Ferguson, found his true passion for painting in Amsterdam by viewing the 17th century Dutch paintings by artists like Edward Hopper and Jan Vermeer. Ferguson's paintings, like Time, show vanishing New York settings and urban intimacy, a close affection with surrounding cityscapes. The consequence is that several of his scenes and models are no longer in existence or living. Although Ferguson does not identify himself as being a photorealist, photorealism is the most closely related style of art to his paintings. The photorealist movement began in the 1960s and relied on photography for inspiration. John Bader's John Steiner can be compared with Time because of its likeness to a photograph and similar color palette. The central figure in John Steiner, a white car, can be compared to the model in Ferguson's Time, the old man in a similar colored white sweater. Both of these paintings convey a sense of loneliness and abandonment, more evident in John Steiner than in Time. However, in John Steiner, there seems to only be that sense of isolation, as opposed to Time preserving the past. Max Ferguson chose to build on photorealism and paint something similar but unique in its method. In Time, an old man sits on a stool in a clock repair shop, surrounded by the numerous clocks he has worked on. It seems a metaphor for how fast time flies, and a symbol of wishing time would just stand still. The old man is solo and inactive, but there seems to be much activity that is going on inside his head. The old man is looking into himself, almost as if in prayer, perhaps reflecting on his life as a clock repair man and remembrance of his family that is now gone. His hands display countless years of work, and he seems to receive a certain immortality that in reality he would not have. Like the hands of the clocks around him, time stands still. It is also apparent that the old man is outdated, seeing as he is seated around analog clocks and possibly on a less accessible floor of the building in which he is located. The spray cans and the small television on the windowsill demonstrate the rapid change in technology. The speed with which New York was changing must have been alarming, and this painting seems to create a subtle emotion that is juxtaposed against the fast-growing, hectic city. The medium of Ferguson's Time, as is the majority of his other paintings, is oil on panel. However, there is much more time involved in the process. After transferring the drawing onto the panel, Ferguson applies a layer of monochromatic underpainting using burnt umber, black, and white. Next, a couple layers of color underpainting is applied, the step during which sometimes details of his paintings change. Usually, Ferguson's paintings take between 2 and 4 months to complete. However, ironically, Time took almost 7 months to complete. His color palette is extensive, including about 10 to 12 colors, and there is no distinct orientation as the painting is square. The darker colors seem to be on the outer edges of the paintings, surrounding the old man. His white sweater blends in with the building outside the window, which in a way highlights himself and creates a sort of glow on his face and hands. The lines are very clear and distinct, which helps contribute to its photorealist look. An interesting part of Ferguson's work, including Time, is the back of the painting. What started as a canvas for ensuring the permanency of the locations and people on the front, the backs of his paintings have evolved into more of a personal collage. On it are newspaper clippings, notes scribbled in black Sharpie, and pictures of his subjects. Ferguson reveals that the location of Time is Sutton Clock Shop in New York, and also writes Magritte's quote, "Ceci n'est pas une pipe," referencing the treachery of images and how time is a painting, not a tangible scene. Knud Christensen, the model in Time, was an Olympic rower in the famous Olympic Games in Berlin in 1936. When the Germans occupied Denmark in 1943, word got around that the Jews would be rounded up and sent to concentration camps. Not only did Christensen participate in the effort to save the Jews, but he and his wife were the main organizers in literally rowing people to safety in Sweden. Thousands of people owed their lives to this man. Ferguson is inspired by 17th century Dutch artists and often calls his style a union between Jan Vermeer and Edward Hopper. His inspiration from Hopper comes through the urban landscapes and often lone subjects. Ferguson, much like Hopper, shows his subjects in a pondering or thinking stage. They are stagnant and unmoving, a contrast to the urban cities in front of them. The Vermeer in his artwork shows mostly through its geometry, technique, composition, and color. Ferguson's subjects are free from anxiety and alienation, something that is a contrast to Hopper's subjects. Ferguson found his inspiration in these artists' use of their everyday scenes and their ability to take something ordinary and transform it into something extraordinary. One of the many themes behind time is the suspension and relativity of time. The span of 1 minute, hour, or day moves quickly for one person, while it may drag on for another person. A sense of delay in time is clearly seen in this painting by the slow-moving smoke and the stagnant hands of the clock in his hands, for example. I think that is why time is so intriguing. The old man is not in a hurry to be anywhere or get anything done hastily. It is certainly apparent that the brevity of life is a major metaphor of time. I leave you with this quote by Max Ferguson that I think sums up this painting all too well. Imagine what a prisoner would do for 1 day of freedom. Imagine what a blind man would do for 1 day of sight. Imagine what a dying man would give for one more day of life. Can you believe it? You and I just wasted another one.